Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Digi and May's
yo.
Pokemon Journey, talking about Pokemon forever.
Forever.
And, wow. This was an experience.
Oh, yes.
This might be the most exciting podcast yet, in a way. Cause,
You think so?
Because I feel like I have to exercise a demon out of me now.
Yeah?
Like, I feel like I need... Previously, these podcasts have been like, we watch a movie, and it's really fun watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you and I, lifelong Pokemon fans.
Hell yeah.
Rewatching movies that we've seen dozens of times in our childhoods. And having a great time, remembering even the Entei movie, while it was disappointing...
Yeah, it was nostalgic.
There was like... I mean, I really wanted to like that movie.
Yeah, me too. I really did.
Yeah.
Because it had been such a big part of my childhood.
To the point I almost gave it a 6, and then you said 5, and I went, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I'm always right.
I am being foolish and overly kind. This movie, though...
it was traumatizing.
We both saw this as children in theaters.
Yeah, I saw it when it was in theaters.
And what did you think of it when you saw it in theaters?
I was really excited because it was Pokemon.
Of course.
I remember my sister really loving the song, the Celebi song. And I was just dumbfounded at the end, at the plot twist.
Yeah.
And it was something that stuck with me forever. Like, the whole entire movie, I was
had
just thinking
forgotten it.
about...
I apparently blocked
was just
it out.
thinking about it the entire time. I'm like, how does this lead to this?
Yeah.
Why? Is there any foreshadowing? Is there
No.
any kind of tie-in?
There's
Because I knew the
nothing.
plot twist.
I didn't. I had forgotten it.
I don't know.
I had forgotten it and then forgotten it again.
Which is probably for the best.
Yeah. Like, I read it last night, forgot it, and remembered today. Because first of all, we watched the first 20 minutes of this movie last night.
Yes. And then I
after the short.
passed out. Like, I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't go on.
You've been up all day, and you're trying to, it's 11 o'clock. She's been up since 6 in the morning and is trying to watch the most boring movie in the world.
It was really hard.
You're all like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm like, there's nothing to be sorry about. Like, you are being put through a shit movie. And so we today went ahead and completed the rest of it. But in between that, I went and did research on this movie.
But you didn't research the important question.
Which is that kid voiced by Mokuba?
Which he has to be.
He has to
We're
be
just
voiced by
going to
Mokuba.
assume.
Yeah.
That's
That
all we have
Mokuba-sounding
to
ass
go off
motherfucker.
of.
But, this movie, the reason I researched it was that it felt so weird and wrong that I thought, what changed?
Yeah.
So I looked into it. The weirdest part? Nothing changed.
Oh.
Same director did all the first 4 movies.
No.
Same writer. Same exact
Really?
team. Same music. Everyone. Everyone who was on the team. I think it's the first 6 movies are all the same people. And
This had to have been rushed.
Yeah, so that's the only explanation left. Because
the decline in quality is
it's staggering.
outstanding.
And on every front.
Yeah.
Even the dubbing. Every front of this movie is markedly worse than it's ever been. And so, I thought either someone changed in the staff or something happened in the production. Which was my first guess, because these came out every year. Mm-hmm. These Pokemon movies, the first one was, I think, 99. No, the first one was 98.
Yeah, the second one was
99.
But 2000.
In spite of being called Pokemon 2000.
Because when it was released here, it was
right.
2000.
Then there was one in 2000, and this one was from 2001. So we're talking about cranking out... Yeah, I know. Which part was the worst? What was the worst part of 2001?
Not the thousands of people dying, probably.
Can you say that was worse than the Celebi movie? Can you honestly say...
No, I can't.
That 9/11 was
honestly.
more traumatic for you than the Celebi movie.
For me...
I didn't know anyone who died in 9/11.
Yeah, exactly. This
I
movie
knew
was
every Pokemon
traumatizing.
who died in this movie.
Yeah.
Professor Oak died in this movie. That's like one of my father figures,
Yeah.
as a child. Anyway, edgy humor aside, this movie is abysmal. And, again, that's the only explanation I can think of, is that it's rushed. I think it might have been to do with the development of the CG technology
Yeah.
But we'll get into all that later because we have to start with the fucking short film.
The short,
So,
which will be a fun time. 'Cause
yes.
shorts are fun.
The Pikachu shorts have been consistently
They
at
always
least good.
deliver.
They're
you know?
always fun. And Pikachu's Peekaboo, which is this film's one.
Pikachu.
First of all, the most noteworthy thing about this one is the animation is fucking insane.
It's so cute. I love it.
Like, the animation in these has always been good. This one is, like, next level.
Yeah.
Like, it's Sakuga almost all the way through. It's insane.
Again, it's one of those things where, like, the anatomy and, like, every single physical part of the Pokemon is... Anatomy?
Yeah.
My bad. I'm not a scientist. The anatomy is really well thought out on each character design, and like you can see the individual parts moving and the muscles moving, and that's fascinating, especially for like make-believe creatures.
Right.
So I'm really into that. I love the way Donphin moved. I thought that was the coolest.
Yeah. Why is this short so much better looking than the movie? Like, who's the team that does the Pikachu shorts? Like, it can't be the same people doing the movies.
No, they're totally different tone.
Yeah. It's a different... Everything's different feeling.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those are getting cranked out once a year, too, but somehow they are just
well, they're
magnificent.
short, and there's no CG.
There was some CG in this one, I think.
Maybe, but...
There was, like when... I remember seeing CG water ripples. That's about it,
yeah. Though. I mean, there's not a lot of plot. There's not a lot of dialogue. They don't have to do any kind of crazy screenwriting. Yeah. It's mainly just to show off like animation. So I think that's why.
I feel like the timing is so good though that they really have to like hone it.
Yeah.
Like everything about the short film. I've been thinking about as we've been doing this podcast. I think I told you about this that I wanted to make a chart of Pokemon Kino, of like Pokemon episodes or films that are like legitimately good cinema. Because Pikachu's Vacation, I think, is a legitimate great film because it's so well constructed. Like, every image is good looking or, like, timed well. Like, everything feels very tight in that short. That wasn't really the case for the last two. There were moments of amazing animation, but it wasn't quite Kino level.
No.
This one, I would say the first half of this is Pokemon Kino. The second half is okay.
What changed for you? What was
the entire thing becomes a different movie.
Yeah.
Because the initial premise of this is that it's Pikachu and friends at a garden vista. Where the hell were they? Like some summer home somewhere?
Some like nice cottage.
Yeah. But why were they there? Was that even established?
Never. I don't think it was explained.
For whatever reason...
I don't think it needs to be explained.
Did they even have the main characters in this one show up at all?
No,
I don't think they did.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think there's a single human in this. It's just Pikachu and friends are at a random big-ass summer house.
Yeah.
You
could imagine happening.
Yeah, and there's a ton of Pokemon there.
You don't really need to set up why they're there.
Larvitar is our main guy this time. He is like OCD.
He's such a dick. I love him.
About keeping the garden perfect. And like he's arranging a pair of rocks on like a thing. I don't know why. They looked weird. But Togepi kind of interrupts it. And you would think this was going to go the way of the first movie, where it was going to make everybody at each other's throats. But instead, it's just Larvitar. All the other Pokemon who live there are like totally want to be friends with Pikachu and his guys.
Well, they don't like Larvitar. He has a stick up his butt.
Yeah, I guess so.
They're like, oh, we gotta get away. This guy's always like that.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
So Larvitar's just kind of being
a mental condition. Let's ignore him.
Larvitar's just being a snooty bitch while everybody else is having fun. So all the Pokemon decide to play hide and seek, and the sequence here, I would say the next, 5-10 minutes are awesome.
That's so fun.
The hide and seek part is awesome. First, we see all the Pokemon hiding, which is already a super cute, fun sequence.
It's a joy to watch, and it's super creative, too.
It's got this song that is baffling, but I love it.
Yeah.
Which is, literally a song about how fun hide and seek is. This song is like a pulse-pounding dance song about how much this dude loves hide and seek. Like a grown man singing, "Oh my god, I love this game. It's so fucking fun."
Not gonna lie, it made me want to play hide and seek.
Hide and seek's hard as an adult because you need a big enough space.
We can't play hide and seek in this place.
No, not in our house. each other in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide. You need like a mansion for adults to play hide and seek in. But yeah, so the Pokemon are all hiding, and that's adorable. Then we've got Pikachu going around finding them, and this is also a really great sequence. We've got a part where like Pikachu's just wandering through these pretty sunflowers, and then he spots one that looks weird. Oh, he can tell it's Sunflora, but he wants to trick Sunflora into revealing itself. So he turns away, and when Sunflora looks, that's when Pikachu turns around and is like, ah, bitch!
Gotcha!
And he's like, God damn it! So, and the whole thing's like that. He never just finds them. He always, like, he finds Togepi and he, like, tickles it to wake it up, and it's fucking adorable.
So adorable.
So, this whole part,
oh my God,
the whole hide-and-seek segment is fantastic. Definitely Pokemon Kino. Then, something weird happens, and I legitimately, like, I think my brain was occupied with something else at the exact moment it happened.
Yeah.
That the movie completely changes. Because throughout, we see that Meowth and Wobbuffet are operating a riding lawnmower that also has, like,
it's
chainsaws that come out of the front of it. And
there's a lot of just destruction in these two.
Somehow, in a way that I wasn't paying attention and therefore missed, the lawnmower gets activated and becomes a killbot.
They, like, fall onto it. Like,
is that it?
I think Pikachu, like, gets knocked into it or something. Somebody gets knocked into it.
And it just becomes a killbot.
Turns on and wants to kill everybody.
And it's like, it's, you know, beyond the impossible level of this thing is chasing them everywhere. And the entire rest of it is a chase scene with the lawnmower. And granted, it's lots of, like, classic Looney Tunes antics, you know, like, classic running from a thing and goofy stuff happens. And the animation is insane. This whole segment, the animation is crazy good.
The running cycles are pretty goofy and fun.
Yeah.
But, again, it's just a running cycle.
Badass.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like a mecha or something. It's, like... It's incredibly animated, but yeah, it's like 10 straight minutes of manic music playing while they run from a lawnmower. And all I was thinking the whole time was, when do we get back to the hide and seek? Because Pikachu hadn't found everybody yet.
Yeah.
And I was so into watching Pikachu find all the other Pokemon that all I wanted was for that to last forever. And then as the scene is going on, the other Pokemon just kind of somehow get into the scene. Mm-hmm. Like, how did Granbull get there? Pikachu never found Granbull. He should have still been hiding.
I think the lawnmower, like, disrupted the Pokemon who were still hiding. Like, they had to move out of the way.
He was in the house.
Dude, I don't know.
Granbull was between a pair of shelves in the house.
It just appeared that, like, all the Pokemon were running from the lawnmower.
Yeah, at some
point. Like, it disrupted a single Pokemon that was hiding, and then the rest of them just jumped out and, like...
It was weird.
Also started running.
I don't remember a point when Granbull became involved, but he was by the end of the segment. And, like...
Same thing with Psyduck, who was, like, literally lodged in a dresser.
Everybody aside from Kecleon, who was so perfectly hidden he never got found because he's a chameleon.
Yeah.
Everybody else somehow ends up in this big chase scene with the lawnmower, and they have a Pokemon working together scene that they always do, but this one finally doesn't involve pulling a rope. For once, they decided, you know, what if we mix it up and don't include a random scene of Pokemon pulling a rope as our big dramatic tension moment in the film. And I was glad this one doesn't really get dramatic. Like, it's just a long chase scene with a lawnmower. Yeah. There's no moment where, like, it tries to get emotional for some reason. Like, the first one did it fine. Charizard gets stuck, and it's kind of unexpected that it gets sad. Then the second one, there's the big storm, which is just sort of, I don't know if it's sad, but it's a tense moment.
Yeah.
The third movie has they knock down the thing. I thought that was kind of, okay, we get it, you know? Like,
yeah.
I'm not that emotionally attached to the giant tire thing, We didn't need 5 minutes of all the Pokemon building it back together. That was definitely the slower part of that.
Pikachu had places to
film.
be, places to go. We didn't have time to sit around and watch them put it back together.
No. And then in this movie, they finally they're getting chased by a lawnmower, and the Pokemon work together to beat the lawnmower. But it's never particularly portrayed as like legitimately threatening or sad or anything. It's
you don't think that's legitimately threatening? A death robot is like trying to mow them down.
It was presented goofy. Like there
was horrifying.
In all the other movies, when you get to the dramatic part, it plays dramatic music. You know, it plays like the like you know, it's like
it wasn't dramatic, but it was heart.
This was always just like constantly for 15 minutes. So, yeah, the Pokemon get a bunch of logs, and they create, like, a track and route the lawnmower, which was a little confusing.
I thought you said the Pokemon get a bunch of logs, and I'm like, what?
They do get a bunch of logs.
I thought you said vlogs.
Oh, vlogs. No, they get a bunch of logs.
Saying that word.
They get a bunch of logs, and they route it.
They make a course for that.
It was confusing, because I didn't know where they were putting it. I was like, what are they building to here? And then they put it in the shed.
Yeah.
They put it back in the shed. That's a CG moment. The shed squashes and stretches as a CG model, which is a little weird looking, but
Indeed.
And it's unfortunately a big indication of what a lot of the animation in the proper movie is going to be. But then, you know, it all wraps up, and they decide to play another round. Larvitar's it because he joined in the game. He's a good boy.
The scene
now.
where Larvitar gets selected, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Where just the leaf falls.
The whole thing's fine. Like, I don't dislike the long-ass chase scene. I just felt like it was not as fun as the Peekaboo, which when this started, the Japanese title of this is Pikachu no Doki Doki Kakurenbo, which means like Pikachu's heart-pounding hide and seek. And I was like, what's heart-pounding about hide and seek? Oh, nothing. It's just that there's also another movie about them getting chased by a lawnmower death trap for 10 minutes. A sentient evil lawnmower. Whose existence makes no sense whatsoever, but it's still a good time. I'd give it like a 7.
I'd give it a 7. That's what I was gonna say.
I would honestly, if it had all been as good as the first half, I would have given it like a 9.
If they made the chase sequence like not half the short,
I thought it was just gonna be like a few minutes and then
Yeah.
get back to what we were doing, you know. But no,
Exactly.
it went on forever.
it really took you out of like the fun that you were having the first half, and it's like, this is ridiculous, like, can this end?
I just feel like I could easily have watched 22 minutes of Pokemon hide and
If
seek.
you want to watch a crazy fucking chase sequence, go watch the Looney Tunes, because they do it.
Yeah, that's
and
all
it's
it
basically the same.
is, you know.
Like, I've seen it before. It's in every single Pokemon short.
Yeah.
They have a chase sequence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the first one had the best.
Indeed.
All right. Let's talk about Pokemon Forever.
Let's break some bread and butter.
This movie...
It's traumatic.
It's... everything's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Everything. And there's... I think our theory that it was rushed... there's moments in the movie that lend credence to that idea. Like, we're just... There's one part where, like, the photography's not quite right. Like, the screen is jittery because the photos aren't quite taken correctly, I guess. Which is just... It's just, you know, something that normally gets fixed when you have time to fix it.
Yeah.
There's lots of, like, frames that probably needed to be redrawn. Lots of, like, ugly shots... You know, stuff that just doesn't look right.
Lots of really awkward poses for characters.
Yeah, just everything feels weird and wrong, and just not enough thought put into like the storyboarding.
No.
When we talked about the other movies, like especially the second one, I kept talking about how great the shot compositions were. You know, like think about the shot of Ash looking through to each island through the slots where he puts the orbs in the second movie. That shot was really great. Nothing in this movie is like that.
No, there's like shots where there's just weird background characters who aren't doing anything, and there's just like
in the frame when they don't need to be.
No.
Everything's awkward and bad. There's parts where it's just like reverse shot conversations, which like, I didn't quite think about the fact until I saw it that there were none of those in the other movies. Like, there's a long scene in the first movie of Mewtwo just talking to all the other characters in the place, but they kind of like pick a different character to respond each time.
Yeah, it's thematic.
It's never
and, like,
just Mewtwo talking to one guy.
It feels like you're watching a movie and not some shitty Rush TV anime, which is what the entire movie felt like.
Yeah, this felt like TV anime at best, you know? Like, so the opening scene is Celebi flying away from a Scyther and a Houndour. Now, first of all, I think it deserves to be mentioned as a big problem with this movie that Celebi is not that cute.
No.
Celebi can't carry a movie.
No.
He's not a good enough Pokemon.
Celebi isn't Mew.
Celebi is one of the shittier Gen 2 Pokemon, I think.
He looks like a Sonic the Hedgehog character.
Yeah. He looks like somewhere between a Chow and an actual character in Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like, if it was just in Sonic the Hedgehog, I would have no questions about why it was there. It just fit right in.
In this movie, it looks... I think it's because it, like, its appendages are... Like, its arms are, like, too human-y, and then the rest of it's, like, a... I don't know what the fuck it is. It's weird looking.
It's the head shape and the eyes and just the way it moves.
It's unsettling.
Everything about it is just unsettling. You're right.
It's not cute. And yeah, again, it's basically its position in this movie is kind of to act like Mew.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a cute mascot that you're supposed to have feelings
insanely
for.
Powerful.
But
it's a cute little guy who's also the most powerful Pokemon. He's mysterious. He lives in the forest and he's always running away. You know, but like in Mew's case, it had this playfulness, this like inquisitiveness where it's curious. It's like, oh, what's going on over here? What's going on with you guys? Oh, you guys ain't doing nothing. And then it like blinks away.
It's so great because it's such a simple design, but it has so much personality.
Yeah.
And like, it's really a fun character.
You can look at it and immediately understand why it can do the things it can do because it looks psychic. It's pink. It's got like a weird angular face and like that tail that like is kind of alien. So it looks like it should have weird powers.
Embryonic.
Celebi looks like a plant. It looks like some kind of onion root or something. Yeah. But it can do psychic shit. And like during the movie, I had to ask, like, what the hell's his typing?
But
like, why can he do this? It's
not clear. Like from its design, you have no idea what that shit is.
I didn't know it had psychic.
It could be grass. It could be flying fairy.
I would have assumed just grass. I mean, fairy didn't exist at the time. But you know.
But you don't know who's watching these movies now.
If fairy did exist at the time, I would have assumed it was.
I think it is fairy. I think it's grass. I'm not sure though. I know it's grass psychic and.
In the classic.
I
was just like, why can it do this stuff? What the hell is the typing on this thing? You know, it doesn't look psychic. But so the opening scene is Celebi running away, and everything's in CG. And right away, we have a huge problem, which is that the CG looks shitty and cheap.
It's horrible.
Movie. And it's very pervasive, in spite of the fact that, like, I want to say 25% of the shots in this movie have CG in them.
That's probably an underestimate.
And it's always mixed. Like, it's always mixed CG and 2D, with the exception of, like, a couple moments. The opening scene is not mixed. The opening scene's, like, all CG. Mm-hmm. But, like, the textures are too simplistic, and it's noticeable. You can really tell the difference between the CG trees and the 2D trees. You can really tell when Celebi is a character model and when he's drawn. It's a little too evident. And, like, all of them have had CG so far, but they all used it way better.
Yeah.
You know, like, they used it mostly for, like, weird effects.
It was integrated really well, and, like, it didn't stand out, like, in this movie.
Like, in the second movie, you had, like, the cool, weird, like, silver rainbow at the end. You had the giant airship.
Oh, yeah.
Which was almost always seen by itself. You very rarely saw it on top of 2D animation, and we called it out that it looked weird the one time that, like, the characters were running down it. In this movie, or in the third movie, you had the unknowns.
Yeah, the unknowns, which was cool because it like led to the character of the Pokemon. Like,
that they're weird.
This is unusual and weird looking because that's how the character is.
And they made them act creepy.
Yeah,
they moved creepy.
It was awesome. Some Mongolian shit.
Celebi is just a 3D model flying through a 3D environment in this one shot, even though he is not typically 3D, nor is the environment typically. It's flipping back and forth throughout the movie, which is jarring. In this scene, Celebi's just kind of like floating around, and it's like, it's because because it's just a model being moved through the space. Like, it's just being moved through a 3D space with no animation.
It looks unfinished. Like, that scene looks like it's just in production.
Right.
It isn't polished at all. It looks like shit.
Have you ever seen the game Rez?
No.
In that game, it's a really cool, weird, trippy game, but like right in front of your screen is like the 3D model of a person, like a featureless person, and it's just kind of floating there. Like it's not moving, it's not animated, it's just there. Like it'll turn back and forth, but like none of its parts move. Mm-hmm. It's just flying through these weird 3D environments, and it's supposed to look weird. Like, that game is fucking trippy and bizarre, so it's supposed to look haunting and unsettling. This is just like, why does Celebi not look like it's moving?
Yeah.
As it goes between all these trees, like, and I get why they did it this way. It's a lot easier to film dynamic movement through the forest if it's all a 3D environment they can just move a model through. But Celebi looks like shit. And so immediately, the first 5 minutes of the movie is like, oh no.
It's like some weird chase sequence too. And
yeah.
The most interesting thing about the chase sequence is how terrible the CG looks.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
I'm thinking about the cold opens of previous films.
Yeah.
Mewtwo has, not counting the entire extra 10 minutes, we've got, like, badass, ultra-dark, like, 90s sci-fi feel with, like, this monster erupting and, like, you know, there's, like, all the emotional potency of the movie is pretty much in the first, the cold open of the film. Then you got the second movie, which is just a guy capturing a legendary Pokemon, but you got epic music. You've got, like, the you know, this fierce-sounding bird that's, like, like, it's fucking blood-curdling, and it's fighting this giant machine. It's cool.
And in the third movie, you're in this cute little girl's room. It's like storybook adventure, and it's just a lot of emotion. And it's comfy. Yeah,
we get another one with like all the emotional depth that's in the opening, in the cold open, and the unknowns are creepy, and like the scene of the guy getting teleported away is like some Lovecraftian horror shit. Yeah, you know. Then you get to this movie, and it's just some Pokemon that we don't know or care about getting chased
by some cooler looking Pokemon.
By some other Pokemon, and there's a guy going, I'm gonna get you, Celebi. Like, it's... And my first impression was everything about this is a low-rent version of the second movie. Mm-hmm. Like, think about the second movie was the same scene.
Yeah, guy trying to catch a
legendary
unethically
Pokemon.
Catch Pokemon.
Yeah, yes. But in the first movie, it's second movie, it's a gigantic, awesome steampunk airship fighting a legendary bird over an island.
And there's a lot of character portrayed in that scene, too. Like, you know what this guy's about, you know how he's gonna act.
Right.
It's interesting to watch, and there's a lot of cool effects going on. And in this, it's like shitty effects. Just some dumb redneck guy.
Yeah, some hillbilly chasing a fucking Celebi.
And this guy's not important. Like, the Pokemon that we're seeing they don't come up later. Like,
no,
this scene is...
He's not even the actual villain of the movie. Oh, God. So, Celebi gets wounded. And, then we are introduced to some fuckboy kid. Now, this fuckboy kid, is Professor Oak.
Yeah.
Turns out, at the end of the movie.
It turns out. It's kind of like they just threw it in at the end. Like, we didn't think about this at all, but it'd be cool if it was Professor Oak.
No, I think this was the entire premise of the movie.
Yeah.
I think the whole idea was... Because, okay, so... Just to summarize the rest of the beginning part, this kid's about to go into the woods. This cute green-haired girl gives him a loaf of bread.
She's really cute. I love the outfit she's wearing.
Yeah,
like, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, she's like, hey, I'm a forest lady. You're going into the forest. There's cool shit in there. Take some bread.
Loaf of bread.
So he goes into the forest and he finds the injured Celebi on the run from this dude, and basically Celebi warps them through time to escape. He warps them 40 years into the future, and that's how the cold open ends. Now, the fact that this movie takes place with this 40-year gimmick has no relevance to the plot of the film.
No.
Except at the very end when we find out that the kid is Professor Oak. So, in my mind, that means the only thing they were thinking with this movie was like, let's make a Professor Oak origin story.
Yeah.
Like, let's make a movie where the plot twist is that this character is like, how can we have Ash meet a 10-year-old Professor Oak and be friends with him? Like, how can we make it so Ash was friends with Professor Oak from a young age? Which is, at that point in the production movie meeting, somebody should have stood up and said, no, fuck you, that's retarded.
Yep.
Because it makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't. Why? Why did they want Professor Oak and Ash to be friends? Like, it doesn't tie into anything in the actual series. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like a weird trivia fact that you'll see on the end of Professor Oak's Wikipedia page. Like, did you know?
This is the only time I've ever wished we had video on this podcast so people could see me, like, trembling with, like, fury.
The thing is, like, I don't really know that much about Celebi's lore, so I don't know if in the games, like, it is pushed that Celebi is a time-skipping demon creature, because then they would have to use time travel in some aspects.
They don't really use it for anything.
No, they just use it for
here's
to
the
set
thing.
it up.
The idea of Professor Oak and Ash were somehow friends as children, I'm not totally averse to. What I am averse to is that Oak remembers that this happened.
Yeah.
Because we've watched Pokemon and played the games. At no point is it indicated that Oak knew Ash in any way.
No.
Like, episode 1, Ash is just, Oak's just the local Pokemon professor. Ash goes to him and he's like, oh, you came for a Pokemon. Everybody else did too. Like, hey, what's up, kid, who I don't really know? And, like, as the show goes on, they more flesh out this idea that, like, Ash's mom is friends with Oak, you know, that, like, there's more to their relationship. Like, the third movie really pushed the idea that, like, Oak and Ash's mom have known each other for a long time.
I think it's really weird that the movies, like, push this relationship.
Yeah.
And, like, in the TV show, we don't see it
It's never been the case.
And even after this movie, like, we don't ever see any indication that Professor Oak knew who Ash was beforehand, or, like, that they shared any kind of special bond.
But according to this movie, not only did Oak, when he was 10, time travel 40 years into the future, meet Ash and hang out with him for a day, and then go back to the past and live out the rest of his life. He remembers all of that, and has just never brought it up.
Nope.
Just never mentioned it. It just doesn't... It's never been like, hey, Ash, by the way... I know we've known each other for a while, but, like, you're never gonna believe this. But, like, this would have been the opportunity. Why not say it here? Like, oh, you saw, like, you just experienced the, like, maybe he was waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, he didn't want to tell Ash beforehand because he knew that Ash didn't know at the time. So he's like, oh, I can't create a time paradox by telling him this. You know, I have to act like how, you know.
Yeah.
How he would have thought. But
there's nothing. Like, after
so
I saw
weird.
this movie, I couldn't look at the Pokemon, like, universe the same way, because I was always looking at it with this lens, with knowing that Professor Oak knew who Ash was all along. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. It wasn't thought out.
They broke it all.
Yeah.
You blew it up.
It went to shit.
You blew it all up, you damn dirty apes.
And for what?
For nothing.
So people just scratch their head at the end of the movie like, what? Like,
yeah.
Are you sure? Am I reading into this too much?
So Professor Oak is the kid, Samuel Oak.
Did, like, having that plot twist add anything to the movie? Did it make the movie better for you?
No.
No.
It did nothing.
It just confused
It was just
me.
weird.
Yeah.
It was just really fucking weird. Especially because he does not act or look anything like Professor Oak. He's this little, like, kind of fruity-looking, brown-haired kid. He's got, like these...
Like, weird side pieces.
Sideburn things. I don't know. I've never described something as girly sideburns, but I don't know how else to describe
They're
his
like
hair.
little side fringes.
Yeah.
Like...
He's like just this soft-hearted, like oh, I gotta protect Celebi. I mean, he has the voice of fucking Mokuba.
Oh, God. His voice is terrible.
His voice is really... All the voice acting is bad.
Oh, my God. Him and Ash together, because they did most of the speaking, was painful.
Yeah.
It was too much.
It's everything, like I said, everything's a downgrade in this movie. It's hard to even know where to start. Like, the first movie had some pretty corny voice acting, and not that it's ever been great, but the second and third movies felt like they tried.
Yeah, they step up.
Like,
Step up your game.
they were tolerable in the voice acting, you know? Like, yeah, it's just dub actors, but at least it's Dan Green.
Yeah.
You know, or whoever, the guy who played Mewtwo, who was awesome. This movie is some fuckboy as some kid, or some fuck girl, rather.
Yeah.
Everyone sounded like shit in this movie.
Oh, remember the narrator? At the beginning of the thing, has the quality of the narration.
Oh, yeah!
It sounded like he was talking in a tin can.
I know, okay. I've heard this happen in other stuff before. So the narrator only has like one line in this movie.
Yeah, at the very
beginning. They didn't bother bringing him in again. And so I think because it was just one line, and maybe he wasn't interested, or they didn't have time or the budget to fly everybody out to the studio, this motherfucker recorded from home.
Oh, no shit. Like, after you said that, I was like, duh.
That sounded like a fucking
obvious.
Blue Yeti microphone, which probably didn't exist at the time.
No, it's worse than a Blue Yeti. That's like some Logitech shit.
Oh
That's
my
like
God.
pre-installed on your laptop.
This motherfucker submitted his lines through, like, it could have even been just like a bad studio record. I don't know. He used a fucking 8-track. He recorded his goddamn voice on something, and someone flew a USB drive.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm trying to think, you couldn't just email that, probably.
No.
It would take days.
He probably fucking had to send the floppy disk through the mail.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. USB didn't exist either, did
Well,
it?
it did, just in minimum capacity. Like, all that USB could probably hold was that clip.
Yeah, a floppy disk could probably hold, like...
It was probably a CD. I'm just exaggerating.
No, I was using floppy disks in 2001.
You were?
Yeah.
I might have too.
I used it to save
doing
porn
like
pictures
some
on.
early like school projects on floppy disks.
Yeah.
Fuck, we're old.
I mean, they were like, going out. I never saw the big ones.
My sister works for like a government organization, and they still use floppy disks because they can't hack into them.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so everything she does is on fucking floppy disks.
Oh.
And it's just...
Anyway, so what the fuck we talking? Right,
We're
the
talking
narrator
about the
sounded
narration.
like shit. Yeah.
I don't understand why they just didn't include it.
I'm glad you remembered that because I completely.
Of
forgot.
course I remembered that.
Really
that was the
happy you
moment I
remembered
was
that.
woke.
Yeah. Well, that was when it became like, because we both remembered this being a not good movie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I never got to how I saw it as a kid. Because, like, when I went on my anime list to score the first 2 movies, or all the movies we watched so far, I've been giving scores. And the first 2, I had written down that I'd seen the first one 15 times, the second one 16 times, the third one 10 times. This movie, it says I've seen 3 or 4 times. I doubt that's true.
No.
Maybe I remember seeing it at least twice, because I know I saw it on Cartoon Network after having seen it in theaters. I didn't like this movie even as a kid.
No, I had the DVD and I only rewatched it once. I can only say I watched this movie twice now.
This is 2001. I was only 10 years old.
I was still way into Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I saw the next movie way more times than that.
I think this movie might have been part of what killed Pokemon for me.
I feel like it did it for a lot of people.
Because, like, as a kid, I mean, at this point, Pokemon was already unpopular. Like, I mean, this movie bombed in the box office, so I don't think a lot of people saw it. But, like, when I was a kid, I was hardcore into Pokemon for, like, a good 4 years.
Yeah.
Ending around the time this movie came out. And, like, I remember, I was the last guy still caring about it, because by this time I was in 5th grade, and it was totally gay to like Pokemon.
Yeah.
By the time I was even in 3rd grade, I was getting picked on for liking Pokemon, right?
I was a closet Pokemon fan.
I wore the t-shirts every day to school, so I
had the cutest fucking Pokemon pajama pants and like t-shirts and shit.
But I wouldn't
wear that shit to school.
I was very open about loving
Gap.
Pokemon.
I wore the Kids Gap every day.
That's probably where I got my Pokemon shirts, from the Kids Gap. But yeah, like, oh god. So I remember, because this is deep into Gen 2. Gen 2, the games came out in 2000, I think. So the games have been out for a while. I fell behind on the anime because Orange Island started and I didn't really keep up with it. And I, probably came on at the wrong time or something. So
yeah, they changed which block it was on. So,
yeah.
like, it was even more difficult to watch it now. It came on at, like, 6 in the morning or some crazy shit.
So I wasn't really keeping up with the anime. And, I've already beaten the game a few times. The card game was getting weird. Because around Gen 2, that's when they started introducing, like, in between Gen 1 and 2, they started making, like, all these weird, like, gym leader cards and the Team Rocket cards. And, like, the card game got a little too convoluted.
Yeah.
It was harder to play. And I remember when Gen 2 came out, I didn't collect that many of the cards. And then you get to this movie, and it was, like, just not entertaining at all. And I think probably after seeing this movie is when I was like, all right, maybe I don't care that much about Pokemon anymore. Because I probably wouldn't have taken it as this is a bad movie. I would have taken it as I'm not feeling what I'm supposed to feel. Like, this movie's clearly meant to be emotional. They clearly were trying to make a sad movie that tugs at the heartstrings. And I remember being in the theater just kind of like, I don't care that much. Like, the only scene I remembered hitting me as a kid is when Celebi's all shriveled up and Ash is trying to feed it berries.
Yeah, that got to me too.
Which is just a heart-wrenching image.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not earned at all by the movie. I remember as a kid just thinking this movie was, like, kind of boring and gay. And we'll get to the gay. We will get to the gay. Because this movie's gay as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think this movie killed Pokemon for me as a kid.
I can totally see that.
It took a long time to get it back. Because when Gen 3 came out, by this point I'm not watching the show, not collecting the cards, all that's there is the game, and I wasn't that into the game. So it was just like, well, it's over now. Never bought Diamond or Pearl. Wasn't until Black and White came out that I tried Pokemon again and got back into it.
I think I had a more positive reaction to seeing this in theater. Because, like, the CG was weird, but I had fun
It
watching
probably looked great to us as kids, because anything CG looked cool to me as a kid.
I don't remember particularly liking the movie a whole lot. My sister was really into it, like my younger sister. But I was still really into Pokemon. I had a good time going to see it, but it was not something I ever wanted to re-watch over and over again. And
not the way, the other ones.
No.
Pokemon 2000, and,
like, I fucking went lengths to see the next movie in theaters. Yeah. So this didn't kill it for me, but I definitely felt like...
You're also 4 years younger than me, too.
Yeah.
So you were, like, 6 when this movie was in theaters.
Yeah. I was still getting made fun of for liking Pokemon, though.
But, yeah, man. So, where were we in the plot? So they get teleported 40 years to the future. That's the cold open.
Yeah.
We cut to Ash and friends having Ash is Pokemon battling some guy.
Yeah, but they're trying to get on a ferry.
Yeah.
And Ash is just in a Pokemon
very
battle.
Short battle sequence that's not interesting
shitty.
At all.
The music, which is supposed to be awesome, like
the music was weird because it was
bad.
It was like I don't know what it was. A remix of the opening.
It was the remix of the
opening?
second Gen 2 opening, which isn't as good. They get progressively worse from this point on.
Yeah.
Like, Pokemon Johto is pretty good. It's catchy.
That's like the last good one for a while.
But the next one, I guess they weren't able to get, like, a competent artist to perform it. It just had really cheesy, like, unmemorable lines.
Yeah.
And the singing wasn't that good. And the battle sequence was all things we've seen before. Like, it was a crazy water gun with sends the Pokemon flying backwards. And it's just, like, one-on-one. I think it's Pikachu versus, like, Croconaw or something.
Which Croconaw's
hideous. Nobody wants to watch Croconaw get fucking the shit beat out of him.
At halfway through the match, Brock's Crobat... It was a Crobat, right? Mm-hmm. Brock's Crobat comes in to, like, warn Ash that the ferry's taking off. Now, what I want to know is, Ash knew he had to be at the boat in 5 minutes. Brock and Misty are at the boat. Why is Ash across town fighting some random guy?
Because they gotta start the movie with a battle.
Like, I could see it if they were already in a battle. Like, if they made it look like Ash was on his 6th Pokemon in a long Pokemon battle, and he gets this warning... then that would make sense.
Yeah.
Like, he thought he had an hour, he throws in an extra fight, the fight goes on too long.
No.
They could have introduced the fight and had, like, a whole montage, like, skipping through time, implying that he's been fighting him all day.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, and then he has to go get on this ferry. But no, Ash starts a fight, like, 1 minute before he has to be out of town.
Knowing that he has to be on this boat.
Yeah. So he gets the rest.
That was
of the
most
scene,
disappointing battle. Like, this is supposed
really
to get you
bad.
hyped for the movie. It's supposed to be a chance for the animators to show off some cool Pokemon, some really cool battle choreography, and like kind of show off a song that they spent a lot of money to get somebody to cover. And it was shit. It was shit.
It's that, and then the rest of the song is Ash hauling ass to the harbor,
trying to
jumping onto he jumps to try to make it onto the boat, misses, and like Brock and another guy have to like lift him up onto the boat. This scene is not only not good, but we didn't even talk about the weirdest part. That the art and animation in this scene
Oh God.
looks like it was done 5 years before the rest of the movie. And it's weird as fuck. The artwork in this movie feels like it was compiled from like different eras.
Yeah, it feels really unfinished. Like the whole
It's
entire
so
movie
weird.
through feels unfinished. Like this is a rough draft.
Yeah.
This is like all we could get down on paper.
And it kind of, when they go back to that town, it looks like that again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was just, like, maybe those scenes were done by a different studio. Like, maybe the backgrounds were done by somebody else or something. Because when they're in the town, it looks like this rustic... Sorry, you what you're doing right now is too adorable. You're just staring up at me and, like, biting this ball. Anyways, it was very distracting.
I'm sorry.
The town... It looks like it was drawn in the 90s. It's like all, this like rustic looking old school cell art. Maybe just shot on older cameras even.
Maybe.
Like it reminded me of watching like Orphan from like 97, which like looks ancient compared to something made in 2001.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie is like this CG blended, more modern looking thing. And I mean, all the Pokemon movies looked like cutting edge for their time. But this one scene looks like it's from the late 90s. It's
really out of place.
As opposed to the rest of the movie.
Do you think that they had this, like, pre-made? They had, like,
I don't know.
A brief, like, sketch of, like, what the movie was going to be like, and they just had, like, this is what we're going to go off of, and they had that canned for forever, and they just never had time to redo it.
That would be fucking weird.
Yeah.
I mean, Croconaw is in the scene, so it had to be Gen 2 at least.
Well, they knew all of the Gen 2 Pokemon before Gen 2 started. They knew it.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why this scene looks so fucking different.
It's archaic looking. Yeah. It's really weird.
So they get on this boat.
I at first thought
were they going? What were they taking this boat?
It's never explained.
Were they just going?
They
out to
don't explain
village?
anything.
Because they're on the boat. And the boat's going out into the forest, and the guy's just like, oh yeah, we're heading into the forest. Like,
yeah, he's like, this is where I grew up. It's cool. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally, I think, the dialogue and the reasoning to why they are going there.
Not that the Pokemon journey ever has, like, a particular destination in mind a lot of the time. They do wander a lot.
Yeah, part of Pokemon
why
is
are they there?
Traveling to, like, different places, but I don't know.
Like, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Pokemon 2000. They never really said why they were going to that island, Yeah,
they did. There was a cool festival going on.
Oh, were they going there to see that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know what the fuck it was in this movie. There's nothing happening in this village. They just go there.
There's no, like, context or background as to why we are going. Why we are going to this shit
We
village.
take a boat out to this village,
then the boat turns into a fucking plane.
Yeah, that was weird. So the boat is floating on these big orange, like
buoy things.
Buoys, yeah, underneath it. And then those just like flip up onto the top of the boat, and now it can fly.
Yep.
Now it's just an airship. And all I could think was, why ever use it as a boat? Why not just fly everywhere? It seems way faster. So they've got this airship boat. And they go to this village that's like all up in the trees, and the village. I've said this before. I'm a big fan of villages up in the trees. I've mentioned that, but it's like it's basically they look like clubhouses, right? Just like small houses built way above ground level with long ass ladders to get down. And the only people we see, I don't even know if this is a village or if it's just like a house. Because we only see 2 people in the entire fucking place. I think it's like. We see 2 people in the boatman.
Rural community.
But
they probably have population of 12 people.
The only people we see in the movie are this old woman who is the same woman who was at the start of the movie, who gave the kid the loaf of bread.
The dude who like flew/boat drove them there.
Yeah.
Who is
who
is
there?
he? How is
I have no idea. He grew up there,
do?
I guess.
He just drives boats that are planes. By
the way, what time is it?
I don't know.
Because you gotta leave at some point, right?
6:30. I can be late.
Okay,
I'm setting this date.
So we meet the old lady, and my first thought is that old because she looks like a she's using a cane.
Yeah, she is crotchety.
She's an old lady.
She an old bitch.
And she's standing at the top of a 40-foot ladder. Now.
That's what the buff dude is for. He carries her down.
Does he?
No, but that's what I'd like to believe. His only purpose is to carry her up and down.
You've been to my my house that my parents have.
Yes.
It's an insanely large 1-story house.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that we got a 1-story house is that my mom's knees were kind of going bad, and like it hurts for her to walk upstairs. So we got a house with no stairs. My mom was only like 43 when we moved into that house.
Yeah.
This old woman is like 60, and she has a cane, and she lives atop a 40-foot ladder.
Oh, dude, she's in really bad shape for being 60. She has like shrunk,
she seems like
hunchback.
She looks closer to 70 or 80.
She's close to death.
Yeah, but so anyway, we meet her and her granddaughter, who looks exactly like she did when she was younger, except with more modern clothes. You checking the time?
6.
It's 6? Okay. So yeah, the daughter looks exactly like what she looked like in the past. Ash goes into the forest. He finds Sammy, who has just arrived with Celebi. Celebi fucks off. Celebi, as soon as he gets to the future, he
just hides behind something because he's dying.
Yeah.
You know how wild animals try to like get away.
He should have stuck around so they could help him though.
He did. He wasn't far.
And he should have just like stayed with Sammy so Sammy could help him. Like he
already escaped who Sammy is.
He already escaped to the future though. Like what's he running from?
Celebi's not a smart sentient creature.
No.
As we will discover throughout this film.
So Ash and Sammy Ash carries Sammy back to the village. The old lady recognizes him, of course. And they wake him up, and then we get into like just some boring exposition scene where they're like sitting around talking about.
Well, the old lady like indicates that nobody has seen this little boy.
Yeah.
Since
for 40 years.
Since he left.
Because he got teleported into the future.
Which doesn't make any sense because he would have had to have gone back to the original timeline to become Professor
You're
Oak.
right.
Who the characters know. It doesn't make any sense.
Paradox. Oh no,
because
you're right.
Professor Oak exists. Prior to him going back in time, which confused the fuck out of me when she said that, and I was like, wait, nobody's seen him?
Fuck, you're right. Oh my god, they did time travel completely wrong.
They fucked it up already.
I didn't notice because A, I forgot I didn't know he was Professor Oak, and B, we watched this movie in 2 parts.
Yeah.
So I missed this detail. Oh god, it hurts so much. This movie's so fucking bad. It's so ill-considered. None of it makes any fucking sense.
They didn't think anything through.
Oh no.
They could have just rewrote some lines and it would have made sense, at least physically.
Yeah.
At least it could be possible.
Well, then we get to my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah. Which
is where we're introduced to the real villain. Which is a guy who looks like Dredd. Like Judge Dredd. And he is, like, interrogating the Pokemon thief guy from the start of the movie. Who 40 years ago almost caught a Celebi. And this guy wants to know about it. conveniently exactly 40 years later.
Yeah.
When Celebi just happens to have arrived.
Yeah.
You know, never mind that no one's seen it in the last 40 years. I don't know.
Does anybody ever like explain why he is looking for Celebi, or
He
like
just
how
wants
he
it,
was
'cause it's
tipped
strong.
off?
No.
No.
He found out, this guy's a member of Team Rocket, he found out that some old fuck had once seen a Celebi, so he wants information about it. So he's like beating the shit out of this old guy. Like, tell me about Celebi. And the guy's like,
Dude.
No. He's like, I'm still a Pokemon catcher. I'm still, like, I think this guy is still trying to imply he's still on the lookout for Celebi.
Yeah,
so
which
he won't
I
give
can
any
believe.
information. So Pokemon Evil Dread Boy, I don't remember his name, so I'm just going to call him Dread, goes over and
Oh
he,
my
like...
god. Can we talk about Dread? Just
Yeah,
his
go ahead.
outfit. His outfit is more like well drawn than any of the other characters.
Yeah.
And like they put specific detail and effort into drawing his crotch.
Yeah.
He's like wearing like latex pants and you can see his bulge throughout the entire movie, and it's so detailed and it's just really fucking weird. And also his hair is ridiculous. Like I think that's supposed to be the joke at the end of the movie when his helmet falls off, like look at how stupid he looks, but he just looks terrible. He looks like an action figure that a kid just wants to destroy. Like
or that they drew themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to light fire to him.
So Dread goes out to this dude. This dude's got a bunch of Pokemon just in cages outside.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why
He's
would
a
you keep
Pokemon hunter.
Why would you keep a Pokemon in a cage as opposed to a Pokeball? I guess they can get out of Pokeballs.
I mean, if you got a Great Ball or an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
but
think they're
he's
that
got
hard to catch.
he's got Pokemon in these cages that are so small they can't even move.
Yeah.
At all.
It's unhumane.
And he's got a Tyranitar in there. Who's like, you know, like really afraid, timid little
He's so
Tyranitar.
cute. He looks like such a scaredy boy, and I just want to like set him free.
So
Just want to set him free.
Dread comes over.
Whatever happens to him? They never like
They showed
give
him at
him
the
a
end.
happy. They give him a happy
He was in the
ending?
lake at the end.
Oh,
He
good.
attacked Team Rocket.
Good. I'm glad he had a happy ending.
Yeah. So
I loved him.
Tyranitar is freed from his cage by Dread, and Dread's like, watch this shit. And he pulls out what he calls a dark ball, and he captures Tyranitar in the dark ball, and he explains that a Pokemon captured in a dark ball will become evil, and its level increases to maximum. So if you catch a Pokemon in this ball, it immediately becomes level 99 and evil.
I'd like to imagine that the ball just red pills the Pokemon so hard.
Yeah, it's just
that they
MGTOW
just
propaganda
yes,
is all
yep.
it is. Which is evil.
That's the only way that could be possible.
Evil,
it
baby.
makes sense.
It's evil.
It's
The
evil.
Pokemon is evil. Whatever that means.
Inject you with evil.
Yeah. So he releases the Tyranitar, and it's, first of all, twice the size it was before. And also evil.
Evil. He's like a darker green.
So he tells Tyranitar to, like, blow everything up. But Tyranitar just, like, wastes this guy's whole house.
He kills that guy. The hunter guy is dead.
It's kind of, like, if this was a more serious film, it would be implied that he killed that guy. For no reason. The guy didn't give him any information after he blew up everything. He just did it to be a dick.
Yeah.
And we never see that guy again. The hunter guy.
He just fucks off and dies.
So meanwhile, there's a boring-ass exposition scene with Ash and all them. And then they go to look for Celebi. They go out into the woods. Celebi's being a timid little bitch. This is where you passed out, and we had to stop the movie.
Yeah. It was boring.
It's so
I
boring.
couldn't stand...
We've just described 20 minutes of this movie, which is a third of the movie.
Yeah.
It's only a 70-minute film. And it doesn't even feel long. It's just so insanely bad that I wanted it to end the whole time.
It felt like sitting through a class.
Yeah. It really, like, it's not that it, like, the third movie felt long. The third movie was only like 73 minutes, and it felt eternally long because it just dragged so much. This movie doesn't drag; it just is bad.
Yeah.
And so you want it to be over. But yeah, so they get Celebi, they convince it, you know, we're okay. We'll take care of you. So they pick it up and they're like, yeah, let's go. So they take it to this lake. I think they run into the bad guy somewhere in the midst of this. I don't really remember the order of events anymore.
They do run into the bad guy, and he's in that weird...
Is that before or after they heal Celebi, though?
I think it's after.
Okay, so they get Celebi, and they're taking it to the Lake of Life that's in the depths of the forest. We've got, like, an okay scene of them, like, following Pokemon to the lake. That's kind of... The best parts of this movie are when it shuts the fuck up and just shows you pretty backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because, like, even though I think that the background art is much weaker than the third movie.
The third movie had great background art.
The third movie
it felt
had...
like you were looking at a Vincent
Van Gogh.
Whatever.
A Vincent Monet.
A Vincent Monet.
A...
Vincent Monet, my OG.
The third movie, the backgrounds were extremely detailed. And
they felt like a real place.
Like, I remember the first shot of that movie where it was like all the pretty flowers in front of the mansion. It was like, oh,
sunflowers.
That's gorgeous. This movie, the art design is good. Like, the forest is cool, but it's just not drawn as well. It doesn't look as good as the other movies it's just not as detailed. Like, sometimes there would be a hyper detailed shot and you'd be like, oh, that's cool. But then it's so inconsistent. Like, it feels like several different background studios worked on this movie, as well as several different animation studios. Yeah. Like, there's just so little cohesion between two images, even in a row, you know? But, like, so they follow all these Pokemon into the forest, and they put Celebi in the Lake of Life. I forgot to mention, when they were on the boat at the start, they saw Suicune just hanging out in the forest.
Yeah.
Like, they just pass by, and they see, like, a beam of light on this gorgeous Pokemon. Like, what the fuck was that? And they call Oak, and he's like, oh, it's a Suicune. And they're like, sick tits.
I think he was looking at the same, like, storybook from the third movie.
Yeah.
It had, like, the same art style.
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat kind of detail.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I kind of like how all the Pokemon movies, like, have their own canon that kind of flows
like a separate
into
chronology.
each other. Which kind of, like, makes sense why Ash and Oak and the mom all have, like, a closer relationship.
Yeah.
Just if you look at the movies alone.
Like, as a standalone, which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But I like how there is a detail like that. Yeah. I'm not sure. I am just drawing a conclusion. Right. But I think it's the unknown.
In any case, they saw a Suicune, and so later on, they put Celebi in the Lake of Life. Celebi comes back to life. Then we get this fucking trite scene of Celebi making Ash and Sammy fly around with it, and it felt like a huge waste of time. Yeah. Because, like, there's nothing interesting about it.
No.
Celebi's just happy and he flies him around for a couple minutes. And it's like, we've seen Ash fly in this way, like with an aura around him, like a Pokemon making him fly. We've seen him fly on a Lugia. We've seen him fly on all kinds of shit.
He flies in all
the Charizard. Movies. He always flies. But he's being made to fly around. It's not an exciting sequence. There's a bunch of random Pokemon just watching.
Yeah.
Through a lot of the movie, there's a lot of random Pokemon just watching what's going on who don't do anything or interact.
No.
They're just there. I don't know why. But so they fly around for a little bit. It's stupid, and then they're like, I guess from this point they spend a while just hanging out. I don't really know where they were going.
They're friends.
Were they heading back to the village? Or...
I don't think they had any direction in mind.
They were just hanging out in the forest.
Yep.
And this is where the movie gets really gay.
Yeah.
Because the way that Ash and Sammy communicate, it's like...
Oh, we forgot about Misty and her leg.
I don't remember what happened to her
Me
leg.
neither.
Misty
hurt her leg and was riding on Brock's back.
Yeah.
And then her leg got fixed.
They put her in the Lake of Life and Celebi fixed her leg, and neither of us could remember how she had hurt her leg. Like, I assume it happened slightly before we went to bed or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
But her leg was hurt and we don't remember how it happened. So we have the scene of them hanging out, and obviously, what this movie is trying to do, and fails miserably at, is to make Ash and Sammy and Celebi good friends.
Yeah. Because
the entire emotional arc of this movie is dependent on the idea that these three become friends. But because they dedicate exactly one scene to the pursuit of this, that's only 5 minutes long and tells us nothing about the characters. And their way of going about trying to make them friends was to put them on like a romantic date.
Yeah.
And even when I was a little kid watching this movie in the theater, I thought, this is fucking gay. Like, this is the gayest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I just don't understand why it's so gay.
Me neither.
Because
they failed miserably at making a bromance. They're just like,
it's definitely meant to be.
What is the fastest way we can establish
a close
out of
relationship? Character for Ash.
Yeah.
Ash is like kind of a brash, like, you know, in your face kind of like, oh yeah, let's have a Pokemon.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make him friends with Ash, make him have a Pokemon battle. You know, okay, it must have been that they fought the guy before they went to the Lake of Life, because that was where we saw the one cool detail in this movie, which is that Sammy has an old school Pokeball, because he's from 40 years ago and the technology's different.
What Pokemon did he even have?
Charmeleon. He fought with a Charmeleon.
I totally fucking forgot. I knew it was something like that.
But he has a Pokeball with a turn crank on the top, so he has
really
to unscrew
cool.
it. By far the coolest thing that happens in the movie. It's
That's
just
one of
him
the most
turning
memorable
the crank
things of the movie. It's just the old school Pokeball.
Yeah, but he has a Charmeleon, and they both fight off a couple of Pokemon from the evil guy. So that I forgot about. I think that happens before the Lake of Life, and so at this point they're hanging out in the forest, and like. If you ask me, if you're going to characterize how do two young boys become best pals, especially Ash, whose number one way of becoming friends with everyone he's ever made friends with is to Pokemon battle
exactly.
like we saw it in the third movie.
That's how he's friends with Brock and Misty.
Brock,
he wipes their ass. He battles Misty too.
Yeah, but that's later.
I mean,
they were friends before that.
They become closer friends with the Pokemon battle.
But like in the third movie, he fought that girl at the beginning, and then she just hangs out with them for the rest of the movie. You know, which made sense because like that's how they are. In this movie, they just made Ash really gay for Sammy. Like he's just kind of. Like, they're sitting around, and Sammy's, like, drawing some pictures. Like, he's drawing Pikachu and Celebi, like, sleeping on each other. Yeah. And Ash kind of, like, crawls up to him, like, hey, what you doing there? And he's like, oh, I'm just drawing Pokemon. And Ash is like, oh, that's cool. And then, like, Sammy gets all emotional, and Ash is all like, oh. Like he comes up and is like, oh, I'm so sad for you, and stuff like that. It's
he's
just
like, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, is this
whoa.
Ash? Like, so then the two of them, So, like, Pikachu wakes up and leads them into the forest, and there's all these metapods that are, like, hatching. Yeah. And they all blossom into beautiful butterflies, and they're watching all the butterflies
and there's sparkles everywhere.
And there's sparkles everywhere, and I was thinking, this is the scene in Avatar where the main characters fuck. You know?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it something like that? Like, a bunch of stuff was...
inspiration from this movie.
No. Wasn't that what was happening, though? It was, like, a bunch of things were hatching at the time? Something like that.
It was the same color palette. It was, like, purples and blues. And so there's some beautiful nature shit.
They climb up in a tree to get a better look, and they're watching these butterflies. I keep saying fleas. Butterflies fly up into the sky, and it's all purple and sparkly, and they're like, ha ha ha, and then they put their arms around each other. And I was just like, this is a romance
Oh, they were
scene.
humping the tree. Do you remember that?
Well, they were climbing the tree.
Oh, no, they were scooting. Yeah. Ash was scooting on the tree branch.
Against...
He was humping that. That was sexual.
These two kids have a romantic date together. And I mean, you know what? If Ash was gay, fine. Sammy seemed gay. I don't know if Professor Oak's gay. He ain't got a wife.
He's probably
He could be gay. I'm okay with Professor Oak being gay. But Ash is not gay. And he doesn't act this way. This is not Ash. It's not his character to, like, hug other guys while watching Butterfrees fly away. It's the gayest shit. That sentence sounded gay even out of context.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hug another young boy and watch Butterfrees fly. Anyways, it's the gayest
cute,
scene in the world.
But it was really out of character.
And it's the only scene of character development in the movie.
Yeah.
We learn that Sammy likes to draw Pokemon. They watch Butterfreeze, and now they are apparently best friends.
It just seems like a canned idea for a date.
Yeah.
Like a really fast way that they can build a relationship between characters. It's something that I've seen before. Like a similar, like, oh, let's watch some beautiful thing. Yeah. It really just felt like, oh, how can we, like, make these characters just be friends instantly?
Yeah.
And, like, put as little effort into making them have a friendship.
Yeah, which is vital because for the rest of the movie, it will treat them as though they are now best pals when we don't even feel that way at this point. So, at this point, it starts just barreling towards... I think they were trying to
give it, like, a very Peter Pan kind of feel to it. I felt that way when they were flying, and, like, it's kind of like, Peter Pan is a little gay, and I feel like they were trying to, like, kind of...
Peter Pan ain't gay. He's with girls.
The movie was kind of gay, though. They're doing lots of Lost Boys stuff. I don't know, the cartoon.
It's not gay.
I don't know. I feel like they were
Lost Boys are all about smashing Indian puss.
I'm not saying it's gay. I'm just saying that they kind of, like, were using that a little bit, and it just... Yeah. They're kind of, like, taking some hints from that movie and trying to apply it to Pokemon.
So from this point in the movie forward, this movie just starts barreling towards the longest climax in the world.
Yeah.
Because I'd say we're like 35, 40 minutes in, and the last half hour is just the climax. If they'd cut the climax down to 10 minutes, and the shitty, boring exposition down to 10 minutes, they could have had the entire midsection of the movie to show us Ash and Sammy becoming friends, and not like a one-night stand of lovers. But no, so we get into the throughout all this, we just keep cutting to the bad guy who's just like going through the forest on this weird four-legged mech machine with Team Rocket. Who
I hate
teams
that
up
mech.
with him. It looks stupid.
It looks really dumb. They could have made it cool.
And
it looks like they tried to make it look like a Bionicle. But just, like, not as cool.
And all throughout this movie,
felt bad.
Like, it needs to be mentioned again that the animation is constantly shifting styles.
Yeah.
And we see so many trees breaking in 3D. But every time, because what makes the 3D look so bad in this movie, the CG, is that they do so much stretching with it, where they'll take a model and just bend the model as animation. Like, they don't animate it, they just bend it, and you can tell.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sequences of, like, something landing on a tree branch, and you just see the model bend, and then it breaks.
Well, because that's easier than, like, actually putting effort into animating it.
Right, exactly.
They don't know what they're doing. They're just like, what kind of cool effect can we make this
we see,
have?
like, 20 trees break in that way.
And it looks...
Trees or branches.
Bad.
And it's always noticeable. It's always weird. The CG... on 2D always looks bad in this movie. So, oh god. So finally they fucking... the guy catches Celebi, obviously. The bad guy throws a dark ball at Celebi and makes it dark and evil. And he's like, I'm gonna take over the world. And Celebi, like, gathers all these, like, twigs and turns itself into, like, a big monster tree... It's like a
grotesque
scyther with no legs.
It looks like a Celebi if Celebi was, like, beefed up.
It looks like the final version of Chaos from Pokemon, from Sonic Adventure DX. So the final form of Chaos from Sonic Adventure DX is floating around the forest, just, I don't know, destroying stuff. It's just floating. It's just floating through the forest, and the bad guy's standing on it going, rah, 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 and Jessie's, like, tied up in vines inside of it.
She's getting tentacle raped
inside of it.
And the only reason they chose Jessie is because it's funny to watch Jessie get tentacle raped.
Yeah, well, I just think it would have looked too sexual if they let anybody else in there. So this dude's just, like, floating around the forest, laughing hysterically that he's got
But they still
Celebi.
Put a girl in the rope.
Yeah.
They still did the cheap shot. That was supposed to be sexual.
Didn't make it look sexy.
They tried to. They put it in her face. They shoved that shit in her face. The scene where she was coming undone from, like, the vines, they had her, like, her whole body, like, just fly into frame, and, like, they're trying to do some fan service.
I don't know. Maybe.
I wasn't offended by that, because I think that shit's hot, but I didn't think that shit was hot.
No.
It was weird.
So, I can't even really remember what happens in this part, because, like, it's a long time that this thing is just traipsing through the forest.
And somehow Suicune fucking...
Yeah, so Suicune, we get a shot, we get this horrible... the way they introduced Suicune, which thank God they had the shot of him early in the movie looking all right. Because when they introduce him, it's full 3D again, and his model looks like shit.
It looks like you're playing Pokemon on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And the Pokemon's just doing its, like, a battle animation. Yeah. It looks like that. And like, so, the same level.
Yeah, it cuts to just a 3D CG Suicune on a mountain.
It's terrible, and the mountain's gross.
Yeah, the mountain's
grotesque. Bad. It's really bad. It looks like you're playing, like, some cheap computer game you found in a box of cereal.
I don't know about that.
Yes, it looks that bad. It's really bad. It's terrible.
It looks more like Beast Wars for the N64.
It looks really bad. I don't know if anybody's played the Pokemon TCG, like, disc, but there's, like, a scene of, like, animation from it. Like, it's CG animated Pokemon TCG.
Oh, no.
And it's really bad. And
it looks like that?
Yeah, it looks like that mountain. It looks like that mountain, baby.
Well, Suicune comes down from the mountain to assist, and it's just, like, a bunch of nonsense. Like, it's 15 minutes of trying to stop Celebi ineffectually. I can't even remember the details. This is the point in the movie where, like, every line we were just mocking. Yeah. Like, we were just going, like, I'm Celebi. Like, you know, like, I couldn't even think watching this. Like, my brain was dying.
I liked when Suicune just popped out for, like, the first time there, and the buff dude, who I don't know why he's there, is just like, Suicune!
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, yep.
Yeah, everyone's there at this point in the movie for some reason.
Who knows why?
So
they don't do anything.
Long story short, they beat Celebi. I don't remember how. How'd they beat him?
Just because Sammy touches Celebi's face. And
he's
like,
right.
The power of friendship
Ash and Sammy crawl. They get to the inside of this big monster, and they look at Celebi, and they're reminding it of all the fun times they spent together. They're like, we're friends, remember? And it's literally giving us flashbacks to earlier in the movie when Celebi, like, I don't know, touched Ash's hat. Like, because there's nothing to go on.
Yeah,
they didn't actually
go
build
to a flashback to an emotional scene, play with Ash's hat.
Yeah,
like that's their go-to.
They haven't done anything together for them to be best friends over. So they flash back to these stupid scenes, and then
it's so bad.
Celebi's like, "Oh shit, I'm not evil anymore." So he dispels the whole thing, and falls into the lake. And then they've got Celebi, and Celebi shrivels up, and he looks like he's dying. And it's a really sad scene. Specifically because they have done way too good a job of making Celebi look dead, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I remember as a kid being really emotionally upset by this scene because it's a Pokemon that looks like it's dying legitimately. You know?
It looks too real.
Usually a Pokemon's just banged up a little.
Yeah.
This one's like all shriveled and gross.
It's too
and like
real. It's
Ash
gross.
is trying to put berries in its mouth, but they won't go in, and they're dropping into the water, and it's just like, oh, this is fucked. So everybody starts crying over Celebi for like a minute and a half. It's just a bunch of crying.
The crying sounds are the worst.
And
like listening to Mokuba and Ash like sniffle is really it's painful.
And I couldn't remember how Celebi gets healed.
You don't?
I didn't remember until watching it just now.
Yeah.
So they hear the voice of the forest. And then about 12 apostles, 12 angel Celebis, descend from the sun and lift up this Celebi and heal him and fly away.
That's all she wrote.
None of this was foreshadowed at all.
No.
I don't think. Maybe it was in that boring-ass exposition scene and we weren't paying enough attention.
I don't think so. I don't even think so. I think it just, like, happened.
Literally, like, 20 Celebis just fly down from the sun, grab Celebi and heal him, and fly away. And everyone's like, sick. We got Celebi back. And then, because the movie can't end, the bad guy springs up out of the lake and tries to grab Celebi again. They promptly roast his ass. And then there's a whole scene of the villagers, like, capturing him. They're like, dumb shit, we got you. And it's
I
like,
wish that he would have just fell. And then we could have just... Like, it ended at him falling through the trees. Yeah. So you can just be like, oh, he's dead. And the movie's over. Thank God.
So then Celebi takes Sammy back through time. And And they go back to the village. Everything's cleared up.
Yeah, everything's
They're
all good.
they're telling Professor Oak about it on the TV thing, and Professor Oak's like, "Oh, I'm sure Sammy will remember you." And then afterwards they realize, wait, how did he know that his name was Sammy? We never told him that. And then Professor Oak's looking through his old sketchbook, and he's like, "Ah, yes, I still remember all those old times with the Pokemons." And we were like, what in the actual fuck?
Yeah.
As we've already explained throughout this podcast, we kind of front-loaded it with the big twist.
That's okay.
I'm
assuming these people have seen
so
Pokemon
bad,
forever.
I didn't remember this.
You blocked it out, which is it's for the best.
And when I was researching the movie last night, trying to figure out what the hell happened, I mean, I didn't find any information about why the movie's so bad, but it definitely is a generally accepted idea that this movie's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I saw one review on Mal who said it was probably the worst Pokemon movie. I don't know if this is worse than Jirachi Wishmaker.
I don't think so.
Because that movie's really bad too, and I'm looking forward to trying to compare them. But the thing is, because I remember Jirachi Wishmaker being boring and looking cheap. Those are my two biggest complaints. But this movie is a train wreck. Like, it's not that it looks as bad or is as boring as Jirachi, but, like, everything in it's wrong. It's just so badly directed and nothing matters. I don't care about any of the stuff happening. It's just, like, white noise. Like, there's maybe, like, 10 images in the whole movie where you go, oh, that was kind of cool. Like him opening the Pokeball, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A couple of times you'll see, like, a sweeping vista, 2 trees falling on top of each other, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How come some parts of the forest have, like, the gigantic, insane fantasy trees, but then most of it's just a forest? But it's, like, random when you'll see...
Because there's no coherency to this movie at all?
No.
They just had had some cool pictures of trees and like let's make the movie here. Let's make some more. I
feel like there's probably more that we're missing out on, but it's hard to remember.
I feel like they made this movie with 2 groups of people who had no communication with each other whatsoever, so they weren't able to like.
My theory is they were making a movie every year. Obviously the first 3 were all fairly big, expensive productions. And with this one, they wanted to go a step further and integrate CG into it in a bigger way.
Yeah.
They were like, let's make
that took
CG.
Up all their time.
And then, like, developing the technology to the point where they could make trees. It was like, oh shit, all we've got time to make is trees. Because that's like what 80% of all the CG is in the movie, is trees. And this one sequence of Celebi piloting a Celebi mech made of trees. And, like, I don't know, I think something went wrong in the production, and, like, they're on a 1-year production cycle, which is not very long for an animated movie. So, like, I think it was just something stopped them up. Like, the movie was rushed, and it's clearly rushed. Like, the fact that there's scenes where the animation just looks wrong, like, in ways that are kind of basic and could easily be fixed, like, it's not a problem of the talent, it's a problem of the time.
Yeah.
And also the dub is clearly rushed, not only because the acting is shit and the narrator's phoning in from home.
Oh my God.
There was one scene where there was a hiccup in the fucking background noise. Like, there's a fountain, you can hear a fountain.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, in between cuts, it cuts out for a second. Man, they fucked up.
Oh, they did.
Everyone fucked up.
I really want to know if there's commentary on the DVD.
There is from the ADR director, but he just praises the movie. I've read about it online.
Yeah, that's it. That's sad.
He talks about how the animation's more incredible than ever before.
That's terrible.
In this movie, which is not even true.
I mean, that's kind of what the third movie commentary was like.
It's a fucking it's a dub director on a Pokemon film. I mean, released by 4 kids.
I'm
He's
really
just gonna
into
talk
commentary,
up the movie,
and if this movie didn't suck so bad, I'd totally be down to watch it. But I would not sit through this movie again for the commentary.
I'm only interested in commentaries when I feel like they will be honest about it. Like, you watch the Rick and Morty commentaries, and they'll be like, "Oh,
they know what they're
episode.
Fucking doing. They actually made it.
Yeah.
Like, instead of some guy who's just putting shitty.
Oh, I can't stand watching, like, dub actors commentary. It's like, you don't know anything about this. No. You just came in and read lines.
Yeah.
Unless you're the woman who played Asuka in Ava, who's, like, the biggest Asuka fan in the fucking world. Anyway,
let's talk about the credits in the song.
Oh God, the credit song. The credit song is this
Celebi, R-A-T-E.
Celebi, R-A-T-E. I fucking lost it. You can tell him. You can tell him how much I lost it.
He broke. He was on the couch.
Already a weird ass song.
You were like in a reverse fetal position. You were cradling your face of your head, laughing manically.
Yeah.
And you're like, Celebi, R-A-T-E. Celebi, R-A-T-E.
They went that far. Because the song is this really bizarre dance song that like at the beginning, like, everything sounds like it's kind of out of time with each other. Like, it was cacophonous. It's a weird song in a way that I almost like. I was like, this is so weird, I kind of dig it. But then it gets into the chorus, and it breaks into the full-on, like, Celebi, R-A-T-E, and it's, like, straight up a Sonic Adventure song.
Yeah.
Before going back into weird...
The worst
and it goes
thing,
forever.
The worst thing about
the
song is it's a fun song.
Yeah.
I remembered it. But they made the song as long as the credits on purpose because they didn't have any other songs to put in the credits.
That the song did not need to be that long.
They just kept
keep adding in weird parts to it.
I don't understand why they just didn't play like OST music. But then I remembered there is no good OST music in the fucking movie.
Really disappointing soundtrack compared to the first three, which all had a great soundtrack.
The most interesting and the only song I remember was just a rehash of like the video game music.
Yeah, they played the battle music from the game.
That's it.
There's a part in the song where the guy literally, like, the song, like, stops, and the guy's like, oh, wait, the song's not over yet. Like, it went on for ages.
Cringe.
And didn't fit.
Cringe.
It was, like, a really high-energy dance song, and the ending sequence is just people walking through... Like, every Pokemon movie has the same ending video, which is just the characters, like, walking through stills, and then maybe, like, showing what happened with a couple of them. But this one was, like... set to energetic dance music that didn't fit at all.
No. They're usually like some pop song like about love or like some really slow ballad or like OST music.
The unknown doesn't mean that much to me. Or the power of one begins with believing. It starts in the heart and flows through the soul and changes the world. This one's Celebi, R-A-T-E. And by the way, that line, the lines leading up in the chorus, they'll be like, search to find what you can grind. Let's Celebi, R-A-T-E. And I'm like, why wouldn't they rhyme it with the letter E? Like, look to see what you can be. Let's Celebi, R-A-T-E. That would make sense. Never happens. They never rhyme with it.
Because they didn't think. They left no time for thinking.
No one thought about anything.
No.
So anyways, I would give this movie...
This movie is like when I write a paper for class and do it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
It's just...
I could do that and it would be better than this movie.
Yeah. I've definitely gotten A's. I would give this shit a 2.8.
I would give it a 2. I would definitely...
Yes.
I think there was a point in the movie where I thought it was a 3.
I can't give this a 3, but I'm going to give it a high 2.
Yeah, I'll give it a high 2. It's not as bad as, like, Erased. Because that...
On Mal, I'm going to put it as a 3, but in my head...
Roka no Yusha.
It is like a 2.7,
This movie is not... It's never insultingly... It's a little insulting.
It's
the
insulting.
Professor Oak thing is insulting when I thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's not abrasive. Like, I wasn't angry in the way I get at stuff I hate.
Yeah.
You know, like the way I feel about like Sword Art Online or the Asterisk War.
It was just
like,
bad.
It's mostly just bad. Early on, I thought it was kind of like the scene where they introduce Dread is hilarious. And if it was all like that, I would give it a 3. But most of it is just crushingly boring and hard to watch.
I really am wondering because they were saying the Japanese version was more funny. and like more lighthearted.
I don't know if that was just the ADR director talking out of his ass though, because
Probably.
That's on Wikipedia. It says that he insisted that the Japanese version was more cartoony, and so they tried to make it more serious. But like, I think he's really just describing all of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like the Japanese voices just sound goofier because it's a fucking children's show, and they really treat it like that. You know, like everyone just sounds a little bit more. But the thing is that they tried to. He claims they had more serious performances, but the actors are all such clowns that it still sounds like a fucking dumb cartoon, you know?
Literally, they didn't try to change his voice. It's just Mokuba's voice.
Yeah. And I read the really harsh review I read on Mal said he watched it in both Japanese and English, and it was equally bad.
I don't discount that.
Yeah.
Like, I was just wondering if there's any like
chance
saving grace that the Japanese version will bring out. But again, most of my problems were not with it being dubbed or like the dialogue. It was just with it being complete shit.
Well, the next movie is
Pokemon
the fifth one,
Heroes.
Pokemon Heroes. I've never seen it before.
I've seen Pokemon Heroes a bunch of times. It has there's some sadness in it.
Yeah.
I like Pokemon Heroes.
I've known multiple
I hope
people,
I don't hate it after watching it.
I've heard from multiple people this was their favorite one, but I don't know if any of them have watched it as an adult. So,
yeah.
You know?
It's definitely like a quality movie. Like, it'll be good between...
Anything's better than that thing.
Yep, it'll be good between this and Jirachi.
Yeah, which are probably the two worst. Like, I've seen a bunch of the post-Jirachi movies, at least in part, and they're all real movies.
Yeah.
At the very least. Jirachi is not a real movie, but we'll get to that when we get to it. I think that's number 6.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening, guys.
New phone.
Yep, you gotta go get a new phone. So, see you later.
Peace.